Welcome into another episode of the Gulag mock draft. Let's go ahead and see what spot I'm drafting from today. I'm going to be drafting from the 24 spot, which is Tony Sofia. Tony made a huge run last year, coming up a little bit short to Kayla and Jenny there in the Elimination Chamber. So I'm going to draft from the 24 spot for him. Looking at it, his first pick is going to be the 212 in a regular 12-team league. All right, so both quarterbacks have been taken. We have a tight end that is taken in Kelsey. So now it's just a matter of, do I want to go with George Kittle? However, I'm going to sacrifice myself getting a running back or wide receiver, which is depth that's much more important. I think I can get one of the running backs I want coming back. So now I need to decide on wide receiver. I have Mike Evans, Kenny Golladay, Allen Robinson, Adam Thielen. Those are the top guys I can take. Kittle's also there. Me personally, though, I don't think I'm going to necessarily take a tight end this early. I'm going to look at the wide receivers. I like Kenny G. I like Mike Evans. If I look at this here, if I wanted to go safe, I'd go with Allen Robinson. But right now, I'm going to take a guy like Mike Evans to be my first overall pick in this draft. If I lock up a pretty great wide receiver with a Hall of Fame GOAT quarterback throwing him the ball and a Week 13 bye, I love seeing that. Got to take a peek at the running backs now. So I got Mark Ingram, who is not going to necessarily be phased out of the system, even though Baltimore went ahead and drafted J.K. Dobbins. Also have Raheem Mostert, who we know the 49ers have easily the best running team in the NFL. And then I got Devin Singletary, who was a stud in the PPR last year. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take Raheem Mostert. He's a very safe option with the running back. I know he recently declared that he wanted to be traded, but he's going to be the starting running back. And even if Tevin starts, Tevin Coleman, Raheem Mostert's a really good pick there at the 2-9. So I get myself a stud running back. All right, so running backs. Number one, the first guy that's there is Jordan Howard. Very, very safe. He's going to be a starter with Miami. Not great in the PPR game, but he's going to be kind of a stud in that aspect. Quarterbacks, we've got a couple there that I'm interested in. I know I can get them coming around. Looking at the wide receivers here, Marvin Jones, love that already. I can see he's there. Tight ends, we got a couple guys that I'm going to wait on as well. I'm going to take Marvin Jones. I don't know. I think I'm going to kind of pass. I changed my mind here just because he has a Week 5 bye. So now I'm looking at Deontay Johnson or a second running back. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take Jordan Howard. So I had a late thought or a late change of thought there, and I now have my running backs lined up in Raheem Mostert, Jordan Howard, both starting running backs. Now when we get to wide receiver, we're going to see who's there. Speaking at the quarterbacks, you got Matthew Stafford, Cam Newton, Daniel Jones. I like Daniel Jones a lot. I'm going to wait on a quarterback one more round at least, just so I can kind of fill in another spot. So Jared Cook, very, very valuable tight end and a great passing game with the Saints. Wide receiver, I'm looking right past Emmanuel Sanders. Michael Thomas is going to be the guy there, and I don't think they're going to necessarily target anybody else with extreme proficiency. I know I just praised Jared Cook up a little bit, um, just because the tight end position is so consistent. So I'm looking at a guy like Jamison Crowder here. Week 11 bye, very safe, versus like a Christian Kirk. We don't know what that pass game is going to look like with the Cardinals. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take Jamison Crowder, very safe with the Jets. Now I'm looking at flex, tight end, and quarterback. Quarterback still got a bunch of starters there. Filling that flex position is much more important. So we got guys like Alan Lazard, Preston Williams. I love Preston Williams with the Dolphins. So I'm looking at those two options. Nikhil Harry is interesting as well. He was a rookie last year with the Patriots and basically had a redshirt year because he was hurt most of the season. Tight ends then got a couple flyers. I'm going to go back to the wide receivers because of those running backs. I don't like any. I like Nyheim Hines, but there's even with all the hype he's getting, I don't necessarily know if I believe in that. Looking at the wide receivers here, I'm debating between. I see Mike Williams is here as well. That could be an interesting piece there, but who knows what's going to happen with the passing game with the Chargers. I'm going to take Preston Williams. He's going to be my flex from the Dolphins. He's going to be the clear number 2 target behind Devontae Parker. And the Dolphins throw the ball a lot because they're going to have to keep up with all of their opponents. So now I'm looking at tight end or quarterback. I was really hoping I could get Jonnu Smith or Dallas Goedert, and they're both just went off the board. So if I look at some quarterbacks, I got Jimmy G, I got Kirk Cousins, I got Drew Lock, Philip Rivers there. If I don't take one now, I'm going to be probably looking at a guy that I might not necessarily love. I've already shown in the past that tight end don't necessarily need to get one of those top tier guys. You can still get a guy that's going to score your points. So I'm looking at the quarterback. Looking at Jimmy G, it sucks because all his passing options outside of Kittle are gone. So when we look at a guy like Cousins and Philip Rivers, those guys are definitely going to be airing the ball out. Philip Rivers doesn't give a shit how many picks he throws. Um, I'm going to go with Kirk Cousins. Pretty safe option there in the quarterback position with the Vikings. Right now, I got Kirk Cousins, Raheem Mostert, Jordan Howard, Mike Evans, Jamison Crowder, and Preston Williams. If you look at these buys, I have Kirk Cousins with a week 7 bye, but outside of that, everything is 11 or later. Now you might say to yourself, well, we got 4 guys in a week 11 bye. That's problematic. At that point, the free agency is going to be much more attractive. All right, defense. As I've stated before, the most important thing is you want a defense right off the bat that has a good opponent. Good opponent. It's just like the quarterback position. Kirk Cousins are playing the Packers. Yes, the Packers have an improved defense, but not one that's necessarily going to just completely shut down Kirk Cousins. Also, we need to consider that at the beginning of the season, with little to no training camp and preseason games, who knows which of these teams are going to come out cruising right off the bat. With that being said, I'm going to take the Eagles defense. I feel like it's the defense I try to get in every single draft. They play against the Washington football team in week 1. That is a great fit there. So now let's take a look at the tight end. So we're looking at guys like Greg Olson, Irv Smith Jr., Jace Sternberger, and Chris Herndon. So, which guy am I going to necessarily go with? I've stated before that Russell Wilson loves throwing to the tight end. Greg Olson, He's the starter. They went ahead and they got him. There's rumors that Greg Olson was going to retire and go into commentary, but he's not. He's going to be there. I know it's a late round pick for a tight end, and it's not pretty, but also the most important thing is I want depth and I want players that are going to produce right away. So I take Greg Olson there. Now I need to decide on, do I want to go with 3 bench spots or do I want to go with a kicker? Looking at the quarterbacks, there's no starters there. I'm not even going to worry about that right now. I want to take a peek at the kicker. That's a starting position. All right, kickers. Let's see what we got. Daniel Carlson with the Las Vegas Raiders. We have other guys like Chris Boswell with the Steelers. Michael Badgley with the Chargers. And that's who I'm going with. I'm biased again. It's just the kicker position, so you want a guy that's going to score points, that they're going to get on the opposite side of the field. Now, I know that there's a lot of uncertainty with the quarterback with the Chargers, but at the beginning of the season, they have a pretty weak schedule. So even when they play the Chiefs, though, they have to score points in order to keep up with a team like that. I like Michael Badgley as my kicker. Now I'm going to go ahead and see, all right, who do I have for tight end? I got Irv Smith, Jay Sternberger, and Chris Herndon. In every draft, I'm taking Irv Smith, good depth piece that if, all of a sudden Greg Olson gets hurt, yes, could happen. He's an old vet. I can slide Irv Smith in there. He's not necessarily the starting tight end, but compared to a situation like Dallas Goedert with the Eagles, Irv Smith's going to be on the field a lot. A ton of people like his potential. I am included. All right, so now we're looking for bench players. Taking a peek here, Tavon Austin, believe it or not, is somewhat interesting because it's like no 49ers can stay healthy for the wide receivers. So, he might be given a role right off the bat, especially because their number 1 wide receiver in Deebo Samuel is going to be out. I'm going to take him. He's a flyer. It's a bench spot. So at this point, I think it's going to be okay. All right, I'm preparing myself for week 2 now. So I want to look at the defenses that are left. I haven't done this before in a mock, but I just want to see if any of these have a good matchup for week 2. All right, so the Jets, they play against the Colts. That's kind of interesting. The Falcons, they play against the Packers. I'm looking at the wrong week. So, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take a second defense just so I can block someone else. So I'm going to take the Raiders here. Raiders play the Saints in week 2, so I'm not obviously going to start them. But in week 1, they play against the Panthers. That's kind of interesting. We look at the Eagles in week 2. They play against the Rams. Now, yes, the Rams score a lot of points, but at the same time, it's kind of a grab bag of what you're going to get with them. So let's take a look here at who I drafted for Tony's team. Starting it off at the quarterback with Kirk Cousins. Running backs, we got Raheem Mostert and Jordan Howard. The wide receivers, we got Mike Evans and Jamison Crowder. Tight end, we got Greg Olson, and then in the flex, Preston Williams. We have Michael Badgley in the Eagles defense against Washington in week 1. Irv Smith, Tavon Austin, and the Raiders defense. So I like this team for Tony right off the bat. The only thing I'm really concerned about right now, to be honest, is the running back because we don't necessarily know what's going to happen with Mostert. But as of this moment, if he's not the starter, he's still going to be on the field for probably around 55% of the snaps. So hopefully you like this episode of the Gulag Mocks.